So we went through the process to find a formula that gives us the quantity for a percentage tax, right? And check the last video to see how we did that. And again, we're using symbols here rather than numbers because this is laying out sort of where all of our starting model ends up as we're sort of unweaving the underlying structure to answer these specific questions. If we plug in, 100 plus 35 and whatever else, we can just plug those numbers back in and find something. Now, I ended last video thinking about, well, what's the change in quantity? And I set it up here, but I sort of immediately recognized there's going to be a lot of arithmetic to do here. We're going to be cross-multiplying this stuff. So I did a little bit of work ahead of time to set this up. And fortunately, a lot of the stuff is going to cancel. But let's think about how to set this up. So we've got basically 4 sets of terms. I'm going to cross multiply. So I'm going to multiply this over to here. I'm going to multiply this over to here. I guess technically I'm multiplying the whole thing by this term in green, but then it's going to cancel out here, leaving just the purple term. But then we're going to have green times both of these. Then we multiply both sides by the blue, and we're going to end up basically rearranging into this format. So we're going to have purple times blue minus green times pink. I think that's pink. Maybe it's orange. In any case, we're going to have stuff minus stuff, and each of these things we're going to be basically going through 3 terms in each one. So I've just set this up as a grid. So here we've got our purple C minus A minus AT multiplied by the blue D times B times BT. So we go C times D, C times B, C times BT, right? And then we do the same for A and B and BT, AT, B, BT, right? So we're doing that. We're doing the same thing over here. And this is going to be let's see, we've got some negatives to resolve. So let's go ahead and figure that out. So we had a C and a D, that's a plus. I'm just going to only mark out the minuses. So we got a minus A times a positive B. That's going to be a minus. Minus A times a positive B. Minus A times a positive D. Minus AT times a positive BT. Right, so those are all minuses. Our AT, those are all minuses. Also, none of these are minuses. That's good. Again, none of these are minuses, but here we've got these 2 columns are minuses. So instead of going through and checking one at a time, kind of laying out a little bit of structure makes it faster to solve this stuff. I'm kind of doing even a low-grade linear algebra here, just setting it out into matrices. Okay, so now I've got all of these terms, right? So CD minus AD plus BC, all of these things minus all of these things. And that means I've got a chance to cancel. So CD minus CD is 0, right? BC and BC, AB, AB, AD, AD. AD big T and AD little t are different things. But AB TT, that cancels out. And now again, we got little t's, big t's, little t's, big t's. So let's see what we have overall. So we got a BCT minus a BCT. Let's think about factoring that. So this is going to be, I'll do it sort of in the same grid. So I'll have a BC and then T minus T. I'm going to have a minus AB T minus T. All right, I guess technically this is a minus, 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 minus. Buffalo, 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 buffalo. So that's all going to work out. I'm going to be a little bit lazy and not totally double check stuff. So we're going to have minus that. and then minus and a minus AD big T minus little t, and a B big T minus little t. So sometimes we take a little t minus a big T, sometimes a big T minus a little t. So what have we got? We've got delta Q for changing from one tax to the other, and I'm dyslexing here, so I don't know what direction I'm going, if I'm going from this to this, but that's not the point. I'm going to get the magnitude right. I can sort out the rest the hard way afterwards, the hard but lazy way. So what I've got is BC times T minus big T minus, let's see, AB T minus T minus AB T minus T. Let me lay those out explicitly. I'm going to just kind of use this blank space. So if I've got AB T minus T, and so I'm subtracting it twice, right? So these aren't exactly the same, but they're the reverse of each other, right? So if I add that to AB T minus big T, this, by the way, this is me not remembering basic math. This is me not remembering the details, but I've got enough number sense that I can just kind of work it out when I need to, which is, I think, the more important skill. All right, so ABT minus ABT minus ABT plus ABT, check that out. I just saved us some more math. ABT, ABT, this is easier to see in the grid. All right, cool. Saved some more maths. We got the BC and we get the AD big T minus T. And I guess what we could even do is we could say plus AD little t minus T. That would be equivalent. All right, so what have we got? This is actually kind of remarkable. This is a pretty tidy bit of stuff. And let me see, this is actually, we can go one step further, factor out little t minus big T times BC plus AD. This is our formula for delta Q. I didn't expect it was going to be that simple at the very end. That's really nice. So what is it? Again, supply and demand. We're thinking about a tax as a percentage. So the price that the buyer pays is the price that the seller receives plus some percentage. So if the seller receives a higher price, there's a bigger percentage. So we are rotating the supply curve effectively, and we're finding what is our quantity going to be, and we can also find out what is our price, but right now we're focusing on the quantity. So this is going to allow us to say, what is, say, the change from the equilibrium with zero tax, so this would just be whatever the new tax is, to some new tax level. So actually, let's go ahead and resolve my dyslexia really quickly. So if this capital T is 0, then all we're really saying is T delta Q. So this would be implying that we're adding. So if delta T is 0, little t is this actual tax, then this is going to say we are adding quantity. BCAD, this is going to be a positive number, right? A plus plus a plus gives us a plus. If big T is 0 and little t is positive, then we're going to have a positive times a positive. That means our delta Q is positive, which means what we're looking at here is when we go from little t to big T. So we go from this quantity to this quantity. The quantity we end up with minus where we started from. That was our change by changing from this to this. And the answer to that question is the numbers we get from our supply and demand model, right, multiplied in the appropriate order, times that difference in the taxes. So more broadly, if we're just looking for dead weight loss, it's just, the difference in the taxes. Or in a dead weight loss question, we're asking relative to 0. So it's just going to be the tax rate times BC plus AD, assuming that we've got the coefficients labeled in this order. And that gives us the change in Q. So I feel like I'm repeating myself. We found the change in Q, which is going to let us find the dead weight loss. And miraculously, that change in Q resolves into an even simpler function than what we've got here. Turns into this really nice, tidy two things to multiply, the change in taxes and this particular term. How do we find that? Well, we found it by crunching through a lot of stuff, but there was less stuff to crunch through by setting it up in this nice little format, by recognizing the structure here. So I did kind of technically just do this by brute force, but it wasn't so bad, right? It wasn't so bad laid out here. It was easy to see what canceled, and then even though I missed an opportunity to cancel stuff sooner by not recognizing that little symmetry, I still, nonetheless, was able to eliminate most of the stuff and get down to something. And this something means that I could answer the question about how much smaller will the market be if we add a 3% tax? How much smaller will the market be if we add a 5% tax to some different supply and demand market? We can throw in a whole bunch of different variations, and finding that change in quantity is going to be a really easy thing. So let's go ahead and stop here, and next I'll look at the change in the price.